to this live episode of the Success Grid podcast with your host Hassan Talib. In this episode, I have with me Andy Hite. He is a recognized entrepreneur coach who supports entrepreneurs and their teams as they navigate the world of building their life and businesses to fill it with meaning and freedom. Andy, welcome to the Success Grid podcast live.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. Good to be here.
Awesome to have you here, Andy. So I want you first to tell the SuccessGrid Nation something that they might not know about who Andy is.
Something that your audience doesn't, probably everything, but something most people don't know about me is my previous life before entrepreneurialism and coaching. I was in the arts. I was a professional actor in Chicago, stage actor.
Wow, that's amazing. And
Yeah.
you quit that personally, or did something happen that made you want to go out of it?
Honestly, I loved the work. I will always be creative, and I loved theater, still love it. But the truth is, I kind of got a little bored because while I love the work, my favorite part was the creation of the thing, like the rehearsals and the putting everything together. Once we got into performances, I didn't go to work until 6:30 at night. And so I got really bored and decided to go over and produce theater, be more entrepreneurial rather than to be the one on stage. So I did that for like 15 years. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I started this coaching practice working with entrepreneurs.
Awesome. So when you transitioned, how did you feel about this transition to be an entrepreneur and helping entrepreneurs to achieve their freedom, let's say, because it could be scary sometimes to people, right? How did you deal with these thoughts if you had them in the first place?
I 100% had them because I left a very, by all accounts, sought after career. In the arts, very few people, there are very few jobs to do what I did in producing and the way, and artistic directing the way I did it. So I walked away from a really nice income, benefits, expense account, lots of fun travel, security really, to start out with nothing. I, in fact, had to borrow $100,000 to get the business off and running. Wow. But it was one of those things where I believe if we listen in internally, we know the right answer for ourselves. And it was sort of a no-brainer. I knew that this was where I needed to go. And I also at the time, my daughters, I have twin daughters, they were 11, I believe. I knew I had a very short amount of time to teach them by example what creating a life and a dream looks like. Rather than telling them you can do anything, I wanted to show them.
Exactly.
With real life proof.
Generally, parents, what they do is tell their kids, like, go to school, have college education, study something about business, or be some kind of a doctor or whatever. So this is now we are in the place and the age that you should show them, like you mentioned, you should show them the options that they have. It's bigger than being just a doctor, which is great something to do as a human to save other people's lives. But eventually it could not be some that direction for certain people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we talk a lot about being able to go create anything you want. But very few actually do it. And I wanted to be that example for my daughters to say, if you want to go out, anything you want to do, you can do.
Yeah, exactly. So that should apply also to adults, right? Like you mentioned, you took this 100K, right? To jump. So that's a big commitment to take. Yeah, it's like you have no other option, and only success is the only option for you, was right.
Yeah. And it's also like, I knew that I liked working with business people. I knew entrepreneurs because I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, that was a place I was likely to work. And I knew that would give me some amount of street cred. There's so many people that want to go start their own business or grow their business, but yet they're afraid of the financial implications, what it might cost them, how they might fail. And I knew that was just part of my journey to have credibility in what I do.
Yeah. So did you personally hustle and grind your way through through your business, or was it like an easy flow for you?
I think in some ways both, right? I'm not a big fan of the hustle and grind culture. I don't think it's sustainable. I think a lot of the gurus at the top who preach it are not really human, and to some degree. Like I was just talking with a client. I admire Elon Musk for what he's created, but I would never trade my life for his, ever. And so I wanted to do it in a way that, yeah, it's difficult, but I wanted to find the ease and flow through the difficult, which is why I've been working with my own coach for 4 years, or several coaches for 4 years, because I don't want to have to hustle and grind. And in fact, we don't have to hustle and grind. Hustle and grind is a mental thing, not necessarily an action.
Yeah. So you mentioned there Elon Musk. Now, of course, we are humans. Each of us has our own journey to go through, right? But like when someone mentions these big boys, these big names like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, these people with the billions and billions, don't you think that most people like to be in their place or their shoes, or like to aspire to be in that place? Do you think, or it's the wrong approach or the wrong thinking to do?
I think most people would love to have their wealth and their stature and their acclaim. Most people have no interest in doing what it takes to accumulate that, which is why most people aren't there, right?
Exactly.
Because they have never walked those shoes to do the work necessary to create, not just $1 billion plus, but 100 million or 1 million. Only 4% of all entrepreneurs scale to 1 million in revenue. Only 4%.
That's a huge. It's not that's a small number, not a huge
Very
number.
small.
So since you are not an advocate of the hustle and grind, like working 24/7 in your job or your business, so what is the alternative to do things, let's say, the smart way?
The hustle and grind comes from a belief that one has to hustle and grind, or pushing through fears, doubts, beliefs, doing things the hard way. A lot of what the work that I do is not only consult in the business and how to do things, but who do you need to be in order to do the things, right? Oftentimes, for example, I was just talking with a client who he had a goal of making 40 cold calls every month or every Monday. And he would just push through them because he felt like he had to hustle and grind. What we do in my brand of coaching is find out, why the hell are you even afraid of that anyway? What stories are we creating to say that picking up the phone and dialing it and speaking words to another human has to have any amount of fear attached to it? What are we making it mean about ourselves? What meaning are we projecting on the other person? What is it that is actually scary about dialing a number and speaking words, right? One way is hustle and grind. I'll just push my way through it. Another is doing the work to realize, oh, well, there's nothing scary about that anyway. If this is what I want to do to build my business, I dispel all the fears that get in the way so that they're not fears anymore.
Yeah. So like here, for example, I used to work, for example, in cold calls and sales and outdoor sales, these things that you promote from house to house. And I think that in this topic that you mentioned, you have to actually believe in the things that you are selling, for example, or providing to people, or the service, or adding the value in a way that you do believe in it, and you will make the sales for it and you succeed. But if you don't believe, like I didn't believe in, like, for example, going door to door, giving restaurant discounts and these kind of things, whatever it is. So I did not succeed. I quit. I did not continue with that.
Yeah. Well, oftentimes people are choosing careers or entrepreneurial ventures because they think it will provide something, usually money. But they're actually, what, and you alluded to it, they actually don't believe in the service or the product. They actually don't love the service or the product. They're just using it as a means to an end, which is always going to bring some amount of suffering, right? If we're hawking our wares that we don't even love, how are we going to find joy in it? How are we going to find ease and flow? That in itself is hustling and grinding.
Yeah, exactly. So is this like having this purpose or this passion for the thing that you are doing will break the cycle of and break this dam, let's say, like you, I think you would say, and get to the next place or to the next level of things?
Yeah, it's very possible. What most people don't do is actually reflect on who they are, what's important to them, really what they want. A lot of people say, I want money.
Well,
Why do you want money?
it's a general
Right.
sentence. It's not specific.
What about money is going to solve your problems? Well, then I won't have to worry. What are you worried about? Well, I won't have to worry. You know, we can go down and down and down. Most people don't do that work or that exercise for themselves. They kind of jump on the train of, well, I have to make $1 million or whatever the heck that is. And they choose paths that mean nothing to them. You know, you and I were talking offline about bottlenecks in businesses. Oftentimes that can be one. I don't even want to do the damn thing anyway. But then, yeah, you're not going to get very far. Right? That's just one example of a bottleneck in a business that the founder or the executive team creates.
Yeah. So freedom should not be defined for any business owner. First of all, is there a difference between a business owner or an entrepreneur in your opinion?
Good question. 100%. To me, a business owner is somebody that is showing up to work and is selling their thing. And they're looking to maybe break even at the end of the year or raise revenues by 3%. I think I see an entrepreneur as somebody who is interested in rapid growth, real growth, and not just running the business to pay the bills.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with either, but I think there is a distinction between the two.
Yeah. So now in business or entrepreneur in their business, so how do they like put this place of like, I want to have this exponential growth because I want to be free? Because like I mentioned, freedom does not mean having more money. It could be more time also. And freedom could mean being happy or fulfilled. So how are these all of things are related to this one person?
Could you say that again? How are they related?
So like, for example, freedom can be related in some people in regards to money, some people to their time, and happiness could mean fulfillment to other people. This is what success means, happy or fulfilled. So does these things, all these words relate together to have this, let's say, success in business?
Great question. I think the word success is widely misunderstood because what does that mean, right? You know, we talk about creating wealth, right? Creating time. For me, as we boil those down, what does it really mean? People want freedom because without wealth, they are stuck, feeling stuck, having to cut or work harder to make ends meet, right? If that bank account were filled enough for them to not have to worry, that equals freedom. Most people complain about time because they feel stuck, they feel trapped, they feel pushed. If there's enough time, well, what does that really mean? It means I'm free to pursue the things that are really meaningful to me. So I really do think, and a big tenet of the work that we do is we help entrepreneurs create freedom for themselves.
Awesome.
To create a life of meaning.
Yeah. So as you talked about an entrepreneur, do you think that every entrepreneur is a leader?
No.
Not every, no?
Not no, every, I think leadership, if we're going to talk about leadership, I think there's very few very good leaders in the world. I think we're still somewhat I mean, and you can read all about leadership. It's all over the map. I think it's wildly misunderstood. Typically, the way I see most entrepreneurs who manage their teams, they're still managing, right? Akin to almost industrial age management. Are you doing the thing well? Are you doing it on time? And are you contributing to making the revenue that we need in this company, right? Nothing in that is leadership. Leadership is, I think Simon Sinek says it best, and I will not get the quote right, but it's basically helping to bring the very best out of the person that you're engaged with, helping them to grow, helping them to express themselves, helping them to be the best key player in the organization so that they get all those results. And I don't find that very often in business.
Yeah. So you mentioned that entrepreneurs or entrepreneurship is about growth and exponential growth. So when a company or a business is growing fast and rapid, that will, let's say, destroy all the things that it's in a way that's blocking it from growth. So what are the things that blocking a business or entrepreneur from this exponential growth that might hold them down, do you think?
Oh, such a good question. And we could riff on this for hours. In the work that and we don't have hours, so I'll make it quick. In the work that I do, I've seen time and time again, when someone comes to me and they want to grow their business rapidly, they think they don't have the right teams. They think they don't have the right process. They don't have enough time. They don't have all these things. If any business has a bottleneck to its own growth, it is because of the founder, period. Business owner, period. Executive team, maybe, like the leadership team, maybe, but it is the people and persons at the top that are the bottleneck, because they're the ones that create the time. They're the ones that hire the right people. They're the ones that move obstacles out of the way. And the reason that they can't do it is often in their blind spots. They don't know why they can't do it because they can't see it. It's usually beliefs, thoughts, perspectives that are ingrained in them from probably childhood that dictate how they show up and run their company. You know, case in point, I work with a leader. He's running about a $10 million company, but he wants to be to 50. And he's been at 10 for 3-5 years. Now, one of the things we've learned is he is the bottleneck. He cannot get out of the way enough to allow his team to do what they're brilliant at. He is very good at running the company, but he can't run every aspect. And part of his fear is letting go of the control such that the team can take the baton and run. You know, I have another one. Go ahead.
You continue what you were saying.
I have another one who is incredible at running her business, sorry. But she has a real problem holding people accountable because she's a people person. She's a bit of a people pleaser. She doesn't like conflict. And so she's not able to lead her teams effectively, hold them accountable effectively, because she's in the way of that, because of her own inability to sit with discomfort or to lead in a productive way. Therefore, her company stays stagnant. And there's 1,000 different ways that this plays out.
Yeah. So first thing from what I am taking it is that a solopreneur, someone running the business, him or herself, cannot grow rapidly, right? You need some kind of a team working with you. Now, this team has to be
not always.
Yeah.
Not always. A solopreneur
cases, yeah.
A solopreneur can certainly grow $1 million, $10, $100 million businesses, as long as they know or have somebody helping them identify where they may be hitting obstacles, and then they fix it. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, even massive organizations have a problem identifying the root of the issue and being willing to solve that problem.
Yeah. So the most important thing is like to know when this problem is this block hitting you, and like jumping out of it like as fast as you can, because if you keep holding it back, it will probably could drain the company or the business down, and it could lose, right? That's very
Worst case
massive.
scenario, yeah, they just drain the company. Best case scenario is they just stay flat,
Which is not good.
which is not good, right?
Nobody wants to stay
No
there.
entrepreneur specifically has an interest in just maintaining status quo.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think there are certain tools or resources that can help solopreneur or entrepreneurs in general that they have, whether they are a team with them in the business, in the company, or they, let's say, hire people as freelancers to help them, that will make things easier for them?
So the biggest recommendation I would have for those people, any entrepreneur, solopreneur, or organization, is don't silo yourself. Don't try and go it alone. There's so much support out in the world, both paid and free, right? Get in a mastermind, get in a group of people who can keep their eyes on you and your business and help call you out when you're not doing the things that you say you need to do, or point out where you're actually acting out of fear or your perspective is too narrow. Hire an advisor or a coach or a mentor, somebody that can help you see that which you can't, because every single human has blind spots that they can't identify, that cause them to hit obstacles and roadblocks.
Exactly. Like you can be good in certain areas, but you cannot be excellent in all of these areas. You have to have certain areas where you hire, or where people can do a better job than you do. Yeah. So that's massive. That's important.
I mean, I like to think that I have some expertise on building businesses and helping people, but I'm not arrogant enough to think that I can do it by myself. I have my own coach. I'm a part of 2 masterminds. Because if I'm up to what I want to be up to, I know I can't do it alone.
Exactly. So entrepreneurs need support, whether especially from close ones, like, because sometimes people argue that the close ones, the members of their families are not supporting them. I want to do this. No, you can't. You won't succeed. So this negative thought, these kind of things start building up, and they eventually either don't start at the first place, or they actually do it, but after 2 years, maybe 1 month, 2 months, they quit.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point. Like, worst case scenario, people that are close to the entrepreneur just tears them down and says you can't do it. Best case scenario is even not great, because those people have an agenda, right? You really want to align yourself with people that are going to be very honest with you and that have no agenda for you other than helping you see a clear path forward, a clear path beyond the obstacles that may be ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So what would you say one takeaway for the SuccessGrid Nation to take from this episode, Andy?
Good question. For your audience, I would encourage anyone, if they're hitting walls and not achieving the goals that they want for themselves, look in the mirror. Where am I not being honest with myself? Where am I allowing fear to get in the way? Where are my perspectives so narrow that I can't see all the other opportunities and options that lie ahead? And get help. There's nothing wrong with getting help. It's actually the wisest thing a person can do.
Yeah, sometimes we as humans, we don't ask for help because we fear either rejection, we won't get help, or like some people would want other things back more than they actually helped us. So that's a different story, different topic, but you should ask people for help and see what you get for.
Yeah, oftentimes people see asking for help as a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
In reality, Not asking for help is the weakness.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
100%.
Yeah. No, because like we mentioned, it's not like we can do everything at the same time at 100% capacity and in our powers. We could be like 50% good at certain topic and 100% good at topic. We need help somewhere.
Yeah, we're human, right? And
Yeah,
we all have limitations.
exactly. So, Andy, where can people get in touch with you, learn more about you, get coached by you if they want to learn how to advance and grow and have exponential growth in their business?
I appreciate that. My website, andyhitecoaching.com. I'm on LinkedIn, pretty easy to find. And anyone in the SuccessGrid Nation that is up to big things and they want some support, we run a mastermind yearly. We're looking at 2023 and enrolling it. We meet for an entire year and look at both ends of that spectrum, where it's what are the things that we need to be doing and who are we being? Where in here do we need to make some shifts to be able to do the things more powerfully and more quickly?
Awesome. And thank you, Andy Hite, for being here today with me on this episode of the SuccessGrid podcast.
Thanks for having me.